Crane Automotive, 17 automotive dealerships, 3 RV dealerships, 17 automotive dealerships, 1 power sports dealership, 1,000 employees are employed through Crane Automotive. Always great to have you guys down here in front. Appreciate Larry Crane and Crane Automotive. Democrat Gazette, Amanda Copley. Where's Amanda? Thank you. It's been a great year. Today is our last Player of the Week. All Arkansas Preps Player of the Week, and is a great young man. I think one of our longest drives in, but we appreciate you and Wally and the Democrat Gazette for sponsoring this for I don't know how many years now. We appreciate them. Of course, Simmons Bank. We couldn't do it without a great, amazing presenting sponsor. Bill Yee sitting in today. Bill, we get to see you once every few years. Great to see you. You're the power couple with you. Everybody knows Bill's wife. And Tamitra Phillips. Tamitra, this is the first time we've had you on board. We appreciate you being here today. We couldn't do it without Simmons Bank and our great sponsors. We've got the best team of sponsors in America, led by Simmons Bank. Let's give all of them a round of applause, if you don't mind. Do you want to mention, say thanks to Matt Johnson, M&M Productions, who's working right now efforting Andre Ware, Dwayne Duncan, who always does a great job taking photos. R.J. Hawk is tweeting about this meeting in a deer stand somewhere. So, yeah, I don't know if he's going to kill any deer, but appreciate R.J. Hawk. And Meredith Scott Hale from CareLink. We appreciate what you do at CareLink and the great organization that is. We appreciate you helping with our social media. And our amazing Touchdown Club volunteer team. We have the best ladies and guys in the business, led by Debbie Wyman. Let's give all of our volunteers a big round of applause.
So you'll hear whenever they talk to you. Thanks, sir.
All right, it's time for our All Arkansas Preps Player of the Week. He is all the way from Pocahontas, Arkansas. He is quarterback Connor Baker. 2 weeks ago, he's a quarterback, though, carries 27 times for 232 yards and 6 touchdowns and a 40-12 win over Highland. And then this past weekend, 230, how many? 240 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, a passing touchdown, and an interception. And I think he's earned the All Arkansas Preps Player of the Week. Connor Baker, everybody. Are you a senior? He's only a junior. Only a junior. Do want to thank his mother, Joy, for being here. Joy, thanks for driving in from Texas. And his grandparents, Don and Bunny. You drove in from Pocahontas, right? And it was about 2.5 hours? Well, Wade, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. We're honored to have young men like your grandson here, and what an athlete he is, and he's got more football to be played. All right, speaking of football, there was some great football played over the weekend. You know, Rex was excited about one game that was down in Arkadelphia. If I would have been organized today, I would have had the last call of Rex, but I don't have it. Let's give it for Rex Nelson, everybody.
Thanks, David. Yeah, what a day of college football. I mean, we had the battle for the Golden Boot, the heaviest of all the heavy Basil trophies, and that's saying something. I mean, I've still got a pulled muscle from just picking up the Cliff Harris Award a few weeks ago, David, when it was up here. We had the battle for the Golden Boot. We had the battle of the Ravine. Even the Arkansas State victory all came down to late field goals. What a day. How about Cam Little, 37-yard field goal in overtime to power Arkansas to a 16-13 victory at LSU. I asked for it last week, but David, what do you tell those Hogs again? One more time.
Go get that boot.
I think he left a word or two out, didn't you? Well, that's all right. That's a PG version of it there. It was his third field goal of the game, and, of course, it followed Monteric Brown's interception on LSU's first possession in overtime. So how about the Razorbacks now sitting at 7-3 after what they've been through in recent years? Wow. Really a good chance now at an 8-win season, and you know, a 9-win season not out of the realm of possibility. Any given Saturday, as they say. Snapped a 5-game losing streak in the series with that win. First 7-win season since 2016. Sam Pittman evens his record as head coach at Arkansas at 10-10. Arkansas, get this. This is quite a record. Arkansas is 10-2 in overtime games on the road. They like overtime on the road. They're 2-1 at LSU. LSU falls to 4-6 overall, 2-5 in the conference. LSU did outgain the Hogs 308 to 218, and as you know, led for much of the game, but the difference was in takeaways, and Arkansas wins that takeaway battle 3-0. So Cam Little now has 17 field goals. That's the most for a freshman in years, passing Zach Hocker's 16 that he had back in 2010. So on to play Alabama on CBS on Saturday afternoon. We'll see how it plays out, but a great victory for Arkansas. As David mentioned, Ouachita's Gabe Goodman, a sophomore from right there in Arkadelphia, kicks a 53-yard field goal in the final minute to power Ouachita to a 31-28 victory over Henderson in the 94th Battle of the Ravine. Now, a lot of you probably read, it was at the top of the sports section yesterday in the Democrat Gazette, and read the story, but I've got to tell right quick, because you've heard me talk about Hayden Laster, who's coming to work as soon as the season finishes for Greg Hatcher here, but he is the senior leader of that team. He's out of Warren. He plays in the secondary. He was a quarterback in high school, and so he's the holder on field goals. They tried the 53-yarder, and it falls about 10 yards short, but Henderson had called timeout to ice him. So the Ouachita coach is going to send the offense back on, said he can't make this. His longest ever had been 43. The kicker, it's like a Hollywood script, the holder, Lassiter, talks Coach Todd Knight into letting him kick. He said, Coach, you've got to let him kick. He's going to make it. And the coach changed his mind and let him kick. The kid grew up in Arkadelphia, and he said his dream growing up was to kick a winning field goal in the Battle of the Ravine. So there you have it. Both teams came into the game. Yeah, it's a great story. Both teams came into the game nationally ranked. Both finished 9-2. Ouachita's 5th consecutive Battle of the Ravine victory. Ouachita, typical Battle of the Ravine, nobody pulls away. Ouachita led 14-0 after one quarter. Henderson came back to tie it 14-14 at the half. Ouachita scores on its first possession of the third quarter. Henderson then scores to make it 21-21. Ouachita goes down, scores, makes it 28-21. Henderson comes back in the final minutes, ties it again at 28-28, and the field goal wins it in the last minute. Harding, though, wins the GAC. Congratulations to the Bisons. 10-1 GAC champion following a 31-0 win at 4-7 Arkansas Tech. Harding will host 9-2 Washburn, the Ichabods, in case you're wondering what their mascot is. You got to love that. On Saturday afternoon in Searcy, Harding only led 7-0 at halftime last Saturday, but scored on its first 4 possessions of the second half. Cole Chansey, their great running back, rushes for 210 yards on 28 carries, 181 yards coming into the second half, or of those came in the second half, and Harding really pulled away. And 5-6 UAM beats 4-7 SAU 73-37. That's a football score, as Bo Weevil sophomore quarterback Namalin Brown passes for 5 touchdowns and passes for another. So there have now been 10 GAC champions crowned in football in the 10 years of the conference, and there are only 3 schools. 5 at Ouachita, 3 at Henderson, and now 2 at Harding. Now, speaking of field goals, as I said, Arkansas State hits a 42-yarder with just 1:17 to play to beat Louisiana Monroe 27-24. Red Wolf scores 17 of the game's final 20 points to come back and win that one. An interception with 20 seconds left seals the victory. ASU's first win since back on September 4th, ends an 8-game losing streak. Red Wolves go to 2-8 overall, 1-5 in conference. Monroe is 4-6 and 2-5. And David stole my thunder already, but it's worth saying again, Lane Hatcher, the Sun Belt Player of the Week. Congratulations to him again. A great performance. UCA evens its record at 5-5, 3-3 in conference, 27-14 loss to Stephen F. Austin. So they're back to 5-5. Stephen F. very good though. They're 7-3 overall, 3-2 in conference. UCA was held to a season low 304 yards. Braylon Smith, 17 of 27 passing for the Bears, 160 yards. And UAPB falls to 2-8 overall, 1-6 in the conference, a 37-7 loss to Florida A&M in Pine Bluff. The Rattlers are now 8-2, 6-1 in their first year in the SWAC. In fact, Florida A&M's quarterback was 17 of 22 passing for 318 yards and 4 TDs in just the first half. The Rattlers finished with 570 yards of offense. Again, Florida A&M in its first year in the SWAC, and they've now won 7 consecutive games. Hendricks closes the season with a win, 56-10 over Sewanee, and Lyon finishes the season with a loss, 48-13 to Texas Wesleyan. Now on to the SEC. How about Mississippi State coming off that loss to Arkansas, going to Auburn and winning 43-34? I didn't see that coming. Mississippi State moves to 6-4 overall, 4-3 in conference. Auburn falls to 6-4 overall, 3-3 in conference. Will Rogers, who's never met a man he didn't like, passes for 415 yards and 6 touchdowns for the Bulldogs. Auburn, get this, had led 28-3, a 25-point lead in the second quarter. The Bulldogs then come back and score 40 unanswered points. Rogers was 44 of 54 passing for Mississippi State. Number 1, Georgia goes to Knoxville. They roll to a 41-17 victory over Tennessee. Bulldogs are 10-0, 8-0 in conference. Tennessee led 10-7 at the end of the first quarter, and then Georgia scores 27 consecutive points. And Georgia's finished with its SEC schedule. Kind of unusual. They finished the season with 2 non-conference games. Alabama goes to 9-1, 59-3 over 1-9 New Mexico State. Bryce Young, 21 of 23 passing, 270 yards and 5 touchdowns, and he got to rest. That was almost all in the first half, so he got to rest for that Arkansas game because Alabama led 49-3 at the halftime of that game. So most of their starters will be well rested coming into Saturday afternoon's game. Ole Miss continues to play well. They beat the Aggies of Texas A&M 29-19 in Oxford. As you probably know, game day was in the Grove on Saturday morning. Rebels go to 8-2 overall, 4-2 in conference. Aggies fall to 7-3 and 4-3. Ole Miss led 15-0 at halftime. Matt Corral, 24 of 37 passing, 247 yards. Rebels finished with 504 yards of offense. Florida, 5-5, really struggling. They trailed Samford, not Stanford, Samford, from Birmingham for much of the game. In fact, Samford had 42 points on them at halftime. They come back and win 70-52, but you have to wonder, Dan Mullen already fired 2 of his top assistants last week. Who's he going to fire this week? He's going to have to fire somebody, right, after giving up 42 to Samford in the first half. Kentucky ends a 3-game losing streak, 34-17 over Vanderbilt in Nashville. The Wildcats now 7-3 overall, 5-3 in conference. Commodores 2-8 overall, 0-6 in conference, and have now lost 19 consecutive SEC games. But those guys will all make a lot more money than most of the people they're playing against. Just remember that. Kentucky scored on its first 4 possessions, and it was never really a game. Missouri, of course, Razorbacks' last regular season opponent, 5-5 now, 2-4 in conference following a 31-28 win over South Carolina. Gamecocks fall to 5-5 and 2-5. Tyler Beatty, Missouri's good running back, rushes for 209 yards on 34 carries. So Arkansas at Alabama, of course, that's the big one this week in the SEC. CBS, 2:30 kickoff. You've also got Auburn at South Carolina, Florida at Missouri, Charleston Southern at Georgia, South Alabama at Tennessee, Prairie View A&M at Texas A&M, Vanderbilt at Ole Miss, New Mexico State at Kentucky, Louisiana Monroe at LSU, and Tennessee State at Mississippi State. Well, you can tell it's winding down, David. You know how I usually give all those towns where there are games. We got one this week. I plan to be there, though. Washburn at Harding, because it's the national playoffs in Searcy. So join me and get out and see a college football game. Thanks, everybody.
I do want to mention, too, speaking of assistant coaches getting fired and hired, the Broyles Award is December 7th. And so I'd love to have all of you, a lot of you do both. You do the Touchdown Club and the Broyles Award. It's a great gathering. You'll see some of the top assistant coaches in America that will go on to be head coaches. Kirby Smart, they won a national championship, won the Broyles Award here. And Oklahoma's coach, obviously was not very happy this weekend, but he was a winner. And so we've had a lot of great coaches come there. December 7th, love to have you for that. Also want to mention, great to see Jay Heflin here. Love the Heflin family. I know you're a guest of Simmons. Jay, great to have you here. Richard Day. Richard, great to see you as a guest of John Jenkins. And I also just was told Cam Little was the SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. So no surprise there. That's right. Today we've got two of the greatest guys to ever play football. One won a Heisman Trophy, and one can be considered, and can you make the argument, is one of the greatest to ever play quarterback at Arkansas. So let's go ahead. I think we've connected. Let's go ahead and see the intro that Steve Sullivan put together for both Quinn Grovey and Andre Ware.
Conditioner. What the?
You may remember Andre Ware from his Heisman House commercials.
Andre, this is getting ridiculous.
What?
Shasta, take that stupid mask off.
1989 was a magical year for Andre and his Houston Cougars. He threw for 4,699 yards, 44 touchdowns, and set 26 NCAA records in one season. He did all that in just 11 games. Andre won both the Heisman Trophy and the Davey O'Brien Award in 1989. The seventh pick of the 1990 NFL Draft, Andre played 10 seasons of pro ball and was part of a Grey Cup championship team in 1997. Quinn Grovey is one of the most popular players ever to wear a Hog uniform. A magician under center, Quinn was a dynamic runner and an effective passer. He led Arkansas to back-to-back Southwest Conference titles. A member of the Hogs All-Century team, Quinn threw for 4,496 yards and rushed for almost 2,000 yards as a Hog. Today, these two legends are reunited over 30 years after their epic battle at War Memorial Stadium. Please welcome the Cougar Andre Ware and the Razorback Quinn Grovey.
Get the other. You want me to get check? Come on. Hello. Check. There we go. Let's go to Houston, Texas. Andre, can you hear us?
I can, Dave. I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome, man. So great to have you. I know that you wanted to be here extremely bad. I know you have a family issue that you had to stay there, but we appreciate you in the midst of that still being here today with us.
Yeah, my apologies for not being able to get there. I certainly wanted to. I wanted to sit next to the guy that beat us on that fine fall day and maybe give him a nudge or two, but obviously reasons didn't allow for that. But I'm glad I could be there in some capacity with you guys. So thanks a bunch for having me.
So Quinn, I guess the way this thing works is he does the Zoom with the Heisman Trophy. You sit up here. You sit up here. But you sit up here with the win.
Yeah, I got the championship ring. I got the championship ring. I mean, he's got the Heisman now. I mean, but hey, there's a whole lot of money that comes with the Heisman. But I got the ring at my house.
And Andre, you would we'll probably get up here in just a minute, but you should see your old coach, John Jenkins.
Oh.
There's nobody that puts. As a matter of fact, come on real quick, John. Come on, real quick.
Oh, I know.
Andre.
Trust me, I know.
Zoom in. So let's get up for John Jenkins, everybody. All right.
Oh, yeah. There he is.
Put those shoes up for Andre to see. Andre, can you hear?
Oh, I can see him.
Yeah, Dre, eat them up, Cougs, baby.
Yes, sir, all day long. Yes,
All right,
sir.
John Jenkins, everyone. We may get John up here in a few minutes, but great to have you, buddy. Thank you.
Hey, Andre,
Awesome.
I say John is cleaner than a Safeway chicken. I mean, he's just clean. Boy, he stay clean.
Hey, guys, I've seen that for 3+ years, and since that period of time, hey, he is one of a kind, to say the least.
Speaking of one of a kind, for those that don't know, a lot of you know the story of Quinn Grovey and you coming out of Oklahoma. You know, Growing Up Grovey is a great documentary if you haven't seen it. I was so impressed. Andre, I don't know if you've got a chance to watch that yet, but tells your life story about how you made it to Arkansas and been quite a journey to get here.
No, it was amazing, and it was a chance for me to honor my parents. That's really what I wanted to do, and give them some focus. But it's about football. Growing Up Grovey is a story of family, football, and unconditional love. And we talk a lot about football, but we talk a lot about family. And I wanted to be able to recognize my mom and dad for what they did for me. So when you get a chance to watch it, it's going to be a lot of me growing up, and you'll get a chance to see how I got to the University of Arkansas. You get to see some great games when we got to the University of Arkansas. But what the real crux of the story is me being the caregiver for her when she battled Alzheimer's and dementia. And so moving her to Arkansas, dealing with that battle, you'll get a chance to see that. So we're really extremely proud for it. We created a memorial in my hometown of Duncan, Oklahoma. We created a storm shelter. It was the Robert and Bobby Grovey Community Storm Shelter. We're excited about that. It's going to give residents in the city of Duncan an opportunity to take shelter when tornadoes run through that flat land of Oklahoma. So we're proud for everything we're doing with that. So you get a chance to see that. Hopefully we'll have it on Hogs Plus soon, but it's out there right now on Cox Sports Television.
And of course, Andre Ware, Andre, you had a remarkable story in the sense that your senior year, if I remember correctly, he only throws one pass for a touchdown, one touchdown pass your senior year. You felt like you could succeed at the college quarterback position. You played in high school ball in Texas and maybe didn't get the offers from the schools you felt you should have to play quarterback. And so you end up going to Houston. And talk about that journey, if you would, Andre. Oh. I've lost internet. You've lost internet. That's okay. So basically, the interesting thing there is that he only throws one touchdown pass.
Yeah, he's pretty good, though.
Yeah. One touchdown pass in high school. Wants to go to Texas. Texas doesn't offer him to be a quarterback. He has an opportunity to go to Houston and hooks up with Jack Pardee and John Jenkins. You guys brought in that run and shoot offense. He did not. The first 2 years you guys were there, Andre was not the starter.
Yeah, I know.
But he did get a chance. I want him to tell the story, not me.
Well, let's clarify one thing before Andre gets back on, because I want to talk trash while he's not on. I mean, yeah. So in 1989, when we beat them, we came together at midfield, and we were rivals the entire time. We came together, hugged each other. It was such a battle. And when I told him not to come back in the state, I didn't really mean it literally. It's like I wanted him back here today. Come on, man.
And just to paint the picture, 1988, you guys become Southwest Conference champions.
Yeah.
You're 10-2. I think you'd won 9 in a row. You go to Miami, you lose by 2 points.
Yeah.
18-16. Then you play UCLA in the Cotton Bowl. So you only have 2 losses. You easily could have been a national champion that year.
No, we felt really comfortable. We had a great defense, and Steve Atwater, Wayne Martin, and Miami embarrassed us in '87. Right. Here in Little Rock, beat us 51-7. Treated us bad. Had on hog hats on the sideline, playing tic-tac-toe on the coaches' boards and all that kind of stuff. We remembered that, and we really felt like we were going to have an opportunity to go down there and take it to them. We're 10-0. We said at the beginning of the season we're going to go 10-0, and we're going to go to Miami and win that football game. And we lost to them 18-16. Should have beat them. If we beat them, we're probably playing Notre Dame for a national championship, but we ended up playing UCLA in the Cotton Bowl. But even though in '88, the biggest thing you wanted to do was get to the Cotton Bowl and win the Southwest Conference Championship, and that was the first time we won it in 13 years.
Right.
And so that was big, and the fans just showed up like crazy. But we let them off the hook on that one. Jimmy Johnson, he was sweating bullets. Big time bullets, and man, we let him off the hook. And
But you obviously, and I don't think we'd gone back-to-back conference championships since the 60s. You come back in '89. Yeah. Same thing happens. I think you were number 7, lost to Texas, 24-20 in Fayetteville. You remember that one?
Yeah.
And then you had the chance you dropped to number 18, and then you had a chance to play, obviously, Andre and Houston.
Yeah.
You were getting all the hype. Now, let me just set this up. So listen to this. So in '89, Houston had beaten UNLV 69-0, Temple 65-7, Baylor 66-10, beat Texas 47-9, and I think 5 times that season they scored over 60 points. 9 times in 11 games they scored at least 40 points.
Well, I think right before that game they beat SMU 95-21.
Yeah, that was the amazing thing. That's right.
And look, you're trying to it's not basketball. I mean, they're trying to bust the clock. I mean,
95-21, and that set the NCAA record for most yards in a game.
Yeah.
By themselves, 1,021 yards by themselves.
It's ridiculous.
And so what do you remember about that game? Because many people here remember that was maybe the loudest stadium ever they had heard War Memorial. So going in, I think Coach Hatfield said he had called on the fans to want to be engaged, right?
Yeah, the fans showed up. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, the War Memorial Stadium was probably at its fever pitch. And you know, the tailgating, I knew the tailgating was off the charts because when we pulled down Markham, I mean, the fans were hitting the bus. Boom. They were ready to go. I was like, am I in Baton Rouge? I mean, it's like fans are going, I mean, our fans were just like going crazy, and I knew they were going to be ready to go. And, you know, before the game, we were in our team hotel at the Ramada Inn in Old Conway. I don't know if y'all remember that.
Seafood buffet.
Yeah.
All you could eat seafood buffet Friday night.
Seafood, for a guy from Duncan, being able to get all you can eat crab legs when you didn't know what they were, I mean, it was amazing, man. And so we were able to get all those crab legs, and I mean, I was like, man, I am introduced to seafood. I'm never leaving Arkansas ever again. But I mean, so Coach Crow said, hey, look, in our offensive team meeting, he said, hey, Quinn, stand up. The team with the best quarterback is going to win this football game. And so Andre was like, he was throwing for 5 million yards a game.
And by the way, too, let's make a point about Houston was on probation at the time for things that was under the Bill Yeoman administration. And so none of their games were on TV.
No.
None of their games were on TV. They couldn't go to a bowl game. So most of the country was not seeing what he was doing.
That's right.
He set 26 NCAA passing records that year. So the country wasn't seeing it, but he was doing it.
Yeah, he's amazing, man. That offense was special. But, you know, Coach said, hey, Quinn, the team with the best quarterback is going to win the football game. And he put that on me. And I was just like, all right, I know Andre's about to win the Heisman. And, you know, I'm just trying to do whatever I can to make sure my team is ready to play. And so I went back to my hotel room, and then we got on the bus. And I thought about that entire 30 minutes from, like, Conway to and I was listening to my old Walkman. Yeah, the old Walkman. You know, put the tape in, rewind it, do all that.
What were you remember what songs you had?
Yeah, see, I had a song from it was a group called Guy. I don't know if you remember it, but it was really, I hate to say this, I'm embarrassed to say it. It was kind of like a little love song kind of deal, but it spoke to me, and it was like whenever I got to the stadium and I saw like any part of the stadium, I would hit it. And it was just like the opening, I was just like, okay, and I would just rewind it, and I would just keep rewinding it. And
Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew that it was a love song that would motivate Quinn Grovey to one of the great games of all time?
That's and that was critical. But you know, we had to have it because we lost to Texas the week before, and if we wanted to win another conference championship, we had to win that football game. And so I was super excited about that opportunity. Our team was excited about it, and we practiced the entire week like we have to score on every single possession because we knew Andre, Coach Jenkins, this team was going to be a lot of problems. And basically we did. I threw an interception early in the first quarter, but we were able to come back. We went into the locker room down 21-17. Houston gets the football. They're driving down the field, and Kirk Collins comes in and makes. I'm sure we're going to talk about that, but anyway, what do you remember about the crowd? Most everybody, Wes Sutton, who does a lot of stuff for the Touchdown Club, and he was telling me this morning. He says, "I never heard War Memorial louder than it was that game." And many will say, "Greatest game ever played, most loud," because Coach Hatfield said that the crowd really needed to be involved. Do you remember it that way too, from a absolutely
sound standpoint?
It was amazing. I don't know. I mean, there's 55,000 there, but wherever I go, it feels like 500,000 was there. I mean, it's like, did you really have a ticket? I mean, because I don't know that everybody was really there, but it was amazing, man. That crowd was Like Jim Mabry, who was our All-American offensive tackle, he tells a story like after our fourth quarter touchdown, he was running down the field, and he couldn't even hear himself yell because that crowd was so amazing. And, man, these fans, man, these Arkansas fans are crazy. Like, they were off the charts that night, and that's one I wish people could see.
Because I forgot the game was not on TV. I'd forgotten that was not that you had to be there to see it. I tell you what we're going to do, Matt. Since we're not going to worry about it at this point, don't worry about it. Forget it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let's I tell you, let's start showing. Now this is highlights from the Ken Hatfield show.
Oh,
this is from the Ken Hatfield show. So we're going to watch a little bit of the game, and if somehow Matt, while we're doing that, finds him, we'll find. But we will go ahead and get started because I want you guys. Because a lot of people. Matter of fact, raise your hand if you were at the game. Raise your hand.
See?
Oh, wow, look at that. Are you honest? Are
that's
you
500,000 right there.
How many of you wish you were at the game? Okay, there we go. All right, let's start with the first fullback, Chuck Weatherspoon, who was a great weapon for them that night. Right off the bat, it was a trick play that Houston decided to call. Coach Jenkins, I probably called that play, and I don't think that they were expecting to see this kind of play. But if we've got it, Matt, go ahead and roll it.
We're going to have to shut down, and early on, we didn't.
But we had
at the beginning.
Well, the thing is, we have the play stopped. This is a third down play. It's a big play. But you don't see in this video right here, their safety man that's supposed to cover this slipped flat on the ground. And we have two slippages, and the man who was supposed to cover him, when you just slip on the ground.
So that's 7-zip right there. So, again, Coach, you're right. Coach Hatfield blamed it on slippage.
Yeah, and I think he created a word there, too. Is slippage is a word?
Yeah, so Houston jumps up 7-zip on a good call there by John Jenkins. All right, go to play number 2. This is Quinn Grovey responding.
More than he has in any other ball game, just so it give us a completely balanced attack on everything, whatever they're giving us. And we come right back after the one play, and we answer with a throw. Great throw by Quinn. And Derek just runs away, doesn't let him tackle him, and he just
slow
runs
motion
away.
watch this again.
It's a lot of mercy. I looked up here in a short time, and it's a tie game.
You're talking about Houston trying to take the crowd out. This one put the crowd right back in the game.
It just negated what they had tried to do right here, and Derek was able to keep his feet and get in the end zone. So proud of him, the way he's worked on.
That was a deep pass by me. That was a deep pass.
So truth be told, I think I read where your biggest passing game coming into that game was like 170 yards.
Yeah.
And so you did that in the first half. You know, and so people don't really give Derek Russell a lot of credit. Talk about him as a receiver.
Derek Russell was amazing. One of the fastest guys out there, a huge teammate, a receiver that would block, that would do whatever it took to win football games. And we had a team full of people that would do that. And so that's why I think we were so effective in winning championships and being able to be the only quarterback to lead our team to 2 conference championships in school history. I mean, that's a big thing. And we had a bunch of players who really bought into the whole process. Coach Hatfield and Coach Turner, with Ken Turner, one of our great coaches right there.
Ken Turner right there.
Yeah,
great coaches of all time.
Hey, by the way, man, I used to always go to his office before practice, and I would steal all his M&Ms. So what does he do? He brings me a package.
You M&Ms today.
Of peanut M&Ms, not the regular ones. I had to have the peanut ones.
So Matt, let's go to play number 4. One of the things you did in this game, you were excellent at scrambling. Your ability to scramble was big, and you guys took advantage of that. It was 14-7, I think, first quarter. Matt, if you punch that up.
And here we go, getting into another scoring drive.
We need one right here. Here's Quinn. I mean, they stop our basic play, and look at him with the first field right here. And just run by him. I don't know how he got by that.
That is Houdini.
Yeah.
So what was your I guess mission at that point? Make yards. Hey Quinn, if you get an opening, go for it.
That was an old crap moment. I mean, I'm dead in the water. I'm just trying to figure something out right here. And if I lose yards and don't stay ahead of the sticks, we got to get the football back to Andre.
Right.
And I'm just running like crazy, and it worked out. And I had a couple of plays like that throughout that game.
Yeah, we'll show a few. We'll show a few more of them. I see that Andre, you're up 14-7 at this point. Just to let you know, I think we've only shown one highlight. So since you're here, let's show highlight number 6, Matt. One of the things we talked about, Andre, was not just you, but your running back, Weatherspoon, and how important he was.
Extremely important to us. I mean, he was patient in terms of waiting to get his carries, so to speak, because we were obviously a pass-first offense. But when you gave it to him, he was just a bundle of excitement, a bundle of he's just tough to bring down. Loved the game of football from every aspect of it. And what people don't really know about Chuck, he returned punts and kickoffs along with his running back duties as well.
Let's see a touchdown pass from Andre Ware, Matt, play number 7. I think this probably puts you guys up 21-17.5. Here we go. Little open there. What do you remember thinking about that play, Andre, other than get open like every time like that?
Well, we were obviously rolling one way, trying to pull coverage and then sneaking our Z receiver down the sideline against, I think, maybe a 2-deep look. So it was a quick, short roll and just try to knife one in the hole. Lo and behold, when I spun around, Paul Smith was wide open. And that was one you'd hope and just don't over or underthrow him. Just try to get him the football.
So 21-17 at half. I'll give you the chance. All the crowd has talked about being there. What do you recall about that night, Andre? I know that Ken Hatfield had asked the crowd to be very loud and involved in the game. What do you remember as an opponent there?
Well, they were a little louder and more involved than we probably wanted them to be. Certainly from a standpoint of noise coming in. I remember our trainer, Tom Wilson, God rest his soul, told us, make sure when we enter the stadium to put your helmets on, because we were being hit with all kinds of debris coming in. They were, oh yes, probably some of the guys that attended that game are in the audience today. So, I remember a hostile environment, a hostile crowd, and knowing that we were going to have to be at our best to win that day.
Yeah, I'd mention also, too, you guys were lighting it up. You just scored 95 against SMU, set an NCAA record with 1,000 total yards. What was sort of the mindset? They were the defending conference champions. You guys were not on TV. You were on probation. You were putting up Heisman Trophy numbers. What was sort of the mindset of the team coming in?
Confident team coming in, to say the least. We felt like we were in all three aspects of the game, offense, defense, and special teams, that we were kind of hitting on all cylinders at that point. And felt confident coming into the game. We felt as an offense that we had gotten to the point, and John kind of instilled that in us, that the only way we can be stopped is that we stop ourselves. We turn it over, penalties, things of that sort. That's the kind of high we were riding going into Arkansas.
One of the keys in the second half, Matt, we'll go to play number 10. Now, this was a matter of both offenses were going back and forth. Could the defense make a play? And Arkansas certainly made a play here by Kirk Collins. What do you remember about this, Andre?
I remember it, and that probably turned the game in their favor. And one thing we talked about is that, or I just mentioned, that we could only stop ourselves. When you put it on the ground, that's obviously stopping yourself and giving the opponent an opportunity to go down. We knew, and I told Quinn earlier today, that at one point in that game, I felt like we were going to have to match them like they felt they had to match us, because both offenses were hot. So to give one away at that stage in the game, boy, that was tough.
We were talking about great players, Quinn. This time you decided to go, again, calling the number of Derek Russell. You've already thrown a touchdown pass to him deep. This is a reverse. Tell us what happens here. This is a great play. And watch the speed of Derek Russell and Todd Gifford, I think, trying to keep up with him. Play number 11, Matt.
Well, it's a play right here, man, where we'd been running the football. Barry Foster and James Rouse both were over 100 yards in this game, and I had close to 80. So running the football was going to get their defense moving in the right direction. Coach Crow dialed that play up at the right time, and then when you get it to a guy like Derek Russell, who has the speed, and he hit the corner, he was able to outrun his entire blockers. I mean, Todd Gifford was trying. He was trying. He was giving all he had, and that's all we could ask from our offensive lineman right there. But That was a big play that got us down close to the end zone, and we were able to come up with a touchdown.
You ran it in for the touchdown there. I did want to show, too, Andre talking about how talented that Razorback team was. Go to play 13. This was a 4th and 1 on your own 38. Watch the James Rouse. Look at that. Show that again, if you will, Matt. So this is James Rouse, who obviously was drafted by the Chicago Bears. Look at the leap there.
I don't think y'all know how big that dude is. I mean, James Rouse is a big dude, and he had some of the biggest hops. And, I mean, at 6'2", I mean, 230 pounds, runs a 4.4. For him to elevate right there, I was really happy he did.
So the end of the third quarter, Andre, you guys are winning 28-24.
Can we stop right there? Can we just cut the game right there? Just stop. Let's stop right there.
Let's stop the game now, yeah. I want to show it had happened earlier. You missed it. You'd already thrown a deep ball to Derek Russell for the touchdown. Let's go to play 14. This is a 51-yard pass here. It looks like the same play the first half.
Yeah, it's exactly the same play right there. I mean, Houston was really trying to dare us to beat them over the top, and they were going to try to stop the run, and we can't. We were getting ready. This is the first play of the fourth quarter, but we were getting ready to run this at the end of the third quarter, and I walked to the line of scrimmage, and the wind was a little blowing in my favor or against me, and I just waited and let the play clock go down. And then we ran it in the fourth quarter right off the bat, and that was so big because that gave us the lead.
Yeah, that gave you the first lead of the game, 31-28. Andre, you guys come back, tied up 31-31. I did want to show, play 15, Matt. I did want to show, we mentioned, obviously Derek Russell and James Rouse, but check out Barry Foster here.
Look at that
big fella, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just so strong, man. I mean, he could play tailback, running back.
Let's watch that again.
Strong. I mean, you shouldn't have a guy like that could do this little spin right there. I mean, look, anytime I got those guys to football, it was going to be positive for the University of Arkansas, and I tried to get to them as much as I could.
Andre, as you were watching the game, you knew obviously you were in for a shootout. What were you thinking there in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, two really talented backs, a talented quarterback, a talented wide receiver, and all of them that day were hitting on all cylinders. And so their offense, we knew that they got themselves going. I remember talking to a couple of defensive linemen after the game and years after, and just how physical a runner Barry Foster was, and he certainly, it showed that day. But we knew at some point we were going to have to try to match points with them. Every possession from that point on really mattered for us.
Let's show the James Rouse touchdown run, number 16, Matt. This puts the Hogs up 38-31. You either had to stop Grovey or Rouse, and Rouse was the guy there. Quinn, you'd already scored three touchdowns running the ball.
Yeah, and I had to go ahead and get it to Rouse right there. And, man, when he got into the end zone, that was big right there because that continued to apply pressure because we knew Andre and this offense was not going to go away.
Right. Let's show play number 17, Matt. Again, I want to show you the speed of James Rouse. Watch this play right here. Again, the acceleration, boom. I think we forget how good of a back he really was.
He was amazing. I mean, a great back, big guy, physical guy that ran with the speed and power.
Let's do the final score. Let's go to play number 18. Quinn, this is another one of your touchdowns. There you go, just looking for a spot.
Get in there, Quinn.
Yeah, get in there, Quinn. He said that a lot. I mean, I was glad to get in there too.
Now that puts Arkansas up 45-31. Andre wasn't finished. I want you to show the athleticism of Andre Ware on this play. Two more plays to show you. Play 19. And watch what happens at the end of this. He gets a little excited. Watch him. This is a heck of a run.
Andre Ware gets outside.
Makes a run there. And watch him spike the ball right here.
Keep him in bounds. Right there.
And watch the flag come in.
Kirk Collins is calling for
Andre,
it.
do you remember that play?
Yeah, it's called home cooking, man. That's what that was. Got to cut an excited player a little bit of slack, and I think the official could have kept that one in his pocket.
And the last play, you were trying to bring your team back. Play 20 there, Matt. This is Andre Ware's pass, touchdown pass.
We tried to just get somebody out on the field.
Come back. I think Arkansas had one man short. You took advantage of it. That made the score 45-39, which is the final. Let's give a round of applause for an unbelievable game for both these guys. Now, Andre, some people don't know, you went on to become the first black quarterback to ever win the Heisman Trophy. If you would just share with our group the significance of that, especially when your team was never on TV.
Yeah, it was. I think at the time when you're going through it, that's probably the farthest thing from my mind, or at that time. I think as the years have grown, you understand the significance of doing it, and anytime you're the first to do anything, there's obviously some responsibility that you carry with that, and it's a great sense of pride to have been the first as well, because you feel as though it opens the door for those that have come behind you, the Cam Newtons, the RG3s, Charlie Ward, and to name a few. So anytime you feel like you kind of spearheaded the opening of that door, it was special. It's special to this day because that's something obviously that you can't take away. Didn't get the victory that day in Arkansas, but we had a fine season. And if there was a guy that I don't like losing to anybody, but if I have to, if I'm forced to, and obviously that day it's Quinn. Quinn is a pro. Quinn is, just the type of person he is. We've obviously talked and communicated over the past few years. When I'm going in there to do a game for ESPN, I get a chance to visit with Quinn briefly. Just a pro at what he does, and he was super that afternoon and that fall.
And I'll say the same thing about Andre Ware. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I'm so glad you were able to win that Heisman Trophy because you're a trailblazer at that point in time. And to be able to win that Heisman, I was behind you the entire way. And I want to thank you for everything. Like I told Andre earlier, when I started in broadcasting, I would listen to him because I loved the way he would do his broadcasts. And so we've been separated by 6 degrees of separation. I mean, that day in Little Rock, we were 0 degrees. But at the end of the day, Andre Ware is a pro in everything that he does, and I'm proud to call him a friend.
Yeah, Andre, you will forever be known. I know you know this, but that game is considered one of the greatest games ever played at that stadium, which has a ton of history. Obviously, Arkansas came out on top, so you remember those more. But it was a classic game. You had an amazing year. I did want to give John Jenkins a chance. You coached in that game. Coach, a chance maybe just to say a few words about Andre and Quinn.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, class guys, obviously coaching Andre and raising him up practically. And, amazing thing. Hey, isn't it great to be a Razorback now? Again. I tell you what, I told Andre, I've been telling, of course, I keep a home in Houston, and I've got a home here in Little Rock. And I told Andre here for the last 3 years, I said, hey, they go 2-10, 2-10, and a 3-7. I said, you know what? They were celebrating that 1989 game for a while. I said, if I've talked to one guy, I've talked to 1,000 Arkansas people that say that is the best game they have ever witnessed of the Arkansas Razorbacks ever. And I always refute that and say, no, the game in the Astrodome the next year was better. But no, in all actuality, hey, I told Andre, I said, for 3 years running, now we're sitting here 7-3, and I said, for a while there, Andre, they were celebrating this game, 1989 game, every day. Not just today, but every day for the last 3 years. But we got something to be proud of again here at Arkansas. And I tell you what, Andre, I want you to know this. I apologize. I've worn your arm out. I know.
Now you're apologizing.
As you sit, he played for me in pro football as well, folks, and a championship as well. So, but I want to say he's got his arm in ice today, as you can notice. But I'm here today because I'm still coaching. 6 decades. I'm here to sign Quinn Grovey, Andre.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to sign Quinn Grovey and Derek Russell. Because I know he's got a lot left in his arm. After running the football all his life.
That's awesome.
Hey, it's great to be here, folks. And Andre, I love you, buddy. You know that. And,
love you, Coach.
Really,
love you.
Really great to be here. You bet.
Thanks, John. John Jenkins, everybody.
I tell you what,
Andre, the question, was he wearing those kind of clothes back in your day?
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can imagine, when his back was turned, the fun that we had as young student athletes.
We have fun with John. He's a very charismatic guy. But listen, the numbers don't lie, do they, Quinn? And after you left, David Klingler obviously lit it up too. And That was, again, obviously it speaks to the coaching ability of you. And Andre, for everybody, just tell us, I know you're doing a ton of broadcasting as well right now.
Mm-hmm. I am. A bunch of years with ESPN, 2 with CBS to start a broadcast career. I'm involved with a foundation now called Brothers in Arms. Myself, Vince Young, and Warren Moon. We raise money and give scholarships to young student athletes, high school student athletes like ourselves that were raised by single parents. All 3 of us were raised by our mothers, and so we provide scholarship money for those. This is our 3rd year as a foundation, and it's been a wonderful experience to give back to those that grew up or are growing up like we did, so to speak. We ask each student athlete to write a diversity essay, and we sit and go through those essays ourselves and basically choose our recipients from those essays. So it's been a great experience. That coupled with the broadcast on Saturdays, or Friday nights, I'm usually doing a college game somewhere this year, and then obviously on Sundays I'm doing Houston Texans radio. So I double dip in the fall, and then when the spring rolls around, I got a golf club or 2 in my hand, chasing a little white ball around.
Well, I do have to say before we let you go, you're a class act, and we appreciate you joining us. I know I told the audience about how you were rejected by some schools because they didn't think you were good enough to play quarterback because you only had 1 touchdown pass, but you were able to go back to one particular stadium and hang 47 points on a school that uses this as their emblem. How special was it for you to go back and whip Texas multiple times?
Well, it was special. 60-40, 66-15, and 47-9. I remember all 3 of those off the top of my
That'll
my
get a
head.
cheer here. That'll get a cheer here, Andre.
It didn't pain me whatsoever to see Kansas go into their place the other day and come out with another win. So go Jayhawks, Rock Chalk Jayhawks.
And we do want to say, as we close things out, this guy right here has done a lot. He's been in the Razorback Foundation. He's been in private business. He's doing great broadcast work. But I still think maybe this guy's future may be in being a future athletic director. Is that something you want to do?
Yeah, that's something I'm looking at doing. I mean, I got a chance to interview for the UAPB athletic director job a couple of years ago, and I didn't get the job. But when I was at Walmart and Home Depot, I used to always say, if you're not selected, you need to find a way to make yourself a better candidate. And so I was at IMG. I got the IMG corporate sponsorship skill set under my belt. And then I left and went to the Razorback Foundation. I'm so thankful for the Razorback Foundation and Scott Verity gave me an opportunity to really engage with our donors. And so I'm excited about having 2 revenue-generating skill sets that an athletic director needs to have. And hopefully one of these days I'll get a chance to go do it somewhere. Hey, we got a great one in Fayetteville.
Yes.
We got a great one. And it's good to be, for me, it's good to be a part of that, to be able to see how he's doing great things. And I'll be able to take some of that stuff with me somewhere else.
If there's one guy that's gonna do what he's set out to do or the way that he's dreaming to do, it's the guy sitting right next to you. He's the winner. He's always been that way. My hat's off to you, big guy, and I'm pulling for you. I know if it's a dream of yours, I know you'll figure out a way to make it happen.
Well, I appreciate that.
Everybody, let's give it up for Andre Ware and Quinn Grovey, everybody. Thank you, Andre. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Quinn, thank you.
All right, Andre.
If you want to get
All
your
right, buddy.
picture with Quinn, come on up. Thanks, everybody. Ken Hatfield next week.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always appreciate
Yeah, absolutely.
you.
Okay.